Alright. So, Mr. Diddy, what can I get for you today? Let's see, we have all kinds of different toppings we can do. I have this tray, freshly baked biscuits, if this interests you. Yes. There's also kinds of different herbs we could top that with. At present, I'm creating this lovely herb. See, I'll need 5 and 20, and those. Hello there. Welcome to Tallymag's Bakery. Would you mind waiting just one moment while I finish fulfilling this order? All right, lovely. And you said that you needed 3 of these. Lovely. I shall just bundle everything together here inside of a bit of burlap. Lovely. That'll be 3 gildings and 1 amici. Oh, lovely. Thank you, Mr. Chishingham. And have a lovely rest of your day. Give Mrs. Chishingham my very best. All right. Take care now. So, what can I do for you? Oh, yes, well, this is Tallymag's Bakery. However, I am Mag. Tally is actually out of town at the moment. You're not disappointed, are you? Oh, that's good. She's my sister, you see. We get along very well. But Sometimes she does have a tendency to make me do all of the boring things. It's alright, I have no problem with it at all. I don't have any of that martyr mentality. I just must, carry on the best I can. So, tell me, what is it that I can help you with today? Well, we have all sorts of things. Do you know, I'm about to make my very famous brandy braid bread. It's going to have a nice herb crusted top. It will take me a moment though. I have to finish doing the measuring, which Callie didn't do last night, but it's neither here nor there. How does that sound? You could just pop yourself down, make yourself comfortable, and perhaps, I don't know, you and I could have a little chin wag. That'll give us enough time for me to finish doing all of the measuring and the inventory, and yes, then I can begin baking the bread. What do you think? Lovely. Now, would you like a cup of tea? All right. Why don't I get that going for you now? We have our fire nice and crackly, which is my favourite thing about doing the mornings. Opening up, stoking the fire. It's quite warm and cosy, isn't it? All right. So, I'll get you a cup of tea. Now, what sort would you like? We have a lovely rose hip and raspberry. Wonderful. I dry the raspberries myself. So why don't we do rose hip and raspberry tea, and we'll do you a nice big slice of our brandy braid bread. Lovely. So I'll get that going for you now. Well, actually, I need to start prepping all of my teas anyway. I tell you what, things have been quite overwhelming ever since we received our invitations for the Blue Moon Ball. Have you that must be why you're here. For the Blue Moon Ball. I don't recognise you. And usually when the Blue Moon Ball comes around, we see all kinds of new folks in Northbriar. That must be it. I do love your hair. Dum, 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 dum. La ba da ba dee, dum 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 dum. I really can't help myself. I am giddy as pie over this ball. All right, let's continue. Oh yes, here we go. And just move this up, and here we go. I really do love this tea. One of my absolute favourites. I always love recommending the things to our lovely guests, which are my very, very favourite. And this one is definitely up there with my favourites. Let's see. Dum-de-dum. Alright. Here we go. And now we have all of this sorted. There we are. And a lovely cup of tea. Here you are. Alright. Now you don't mind if I go on ahead and get started. I have to get this inventory done. Yeah, there we go. Let's close the nose, maybe a bit more. So, did you see who just left there? Mr. Trishinger. You know, he came in, bought 10 codwally cakes, 20 broken biscuits, and 5 and 40 peach and pea pies. Wonder why he would have done that. Restocking his cupboards. That's what I've been told. Now, I am no gossip, but he has a new tenant. Didn't you hear? How much have you heard of Mr. Dishingham? I know you're new here, but news does travel fast. Well, like I said, I am no gossip. However, I have been told that he's had quite an exciting past month. That's right. Well, all kinds of things are happening. It's really quite difficult to say with all of these out of the ordinary events taking place lately. However, I do know that this one in particular was very unusual and quite interesting. Would you like to hear? I'm a bit reticent, you see, because I'm really not a gossip. So it's difficult for me to just sort of jump into these things, but I really don't want you to feel left out. And since at this point it's basically common knowledge, I fear it would be unfair for me not to illuminate you. So, Mr. Chisholm loves Mrs. Chisholm, absolutely adores her, does absolutely everything he can for her. She's a lovely creature, very strong-willed, my sort. Well, he's so very scared of her that at the last waiting day picnic that we had, he punctured a hole in the boat that was supposed to bear the two of them. So, what did he do? Well, because he was so terrified of disappointing Mrs. Chisholm, instead of owning to it, he simply plugged the hole with his right thumb and paddled one-handed the entire time. When asked about this peculiar method, he simply said that he'd been reading up on the most efficient paddling practices in order to impress his beloved Mrs. Chisholm. Unfortunately, the efficiency of this method came into question rather quickly when they were seen bobbing round and round on the exact same spot, circling in the water for hours on end. Can you believe it? I don't tell a lie, and I am not a gossip, but what a story. I've got to measure these little satchels so we can have the right amount of herbs for each one of our breads and savoury pies and such. Oh, I do love the smell of fresh fennel. Right. I tell you, he still wears a brace on that thumb to this day. Did you not see it? He is a darling creature. And I do find their little romance quite endearing. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, right. Lovely. Now, we are all set with our inventory. I think we've done at least most of it, and I really do have to get started on our bread. So, why don't we go ahead and begin? Lovely. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's always helpful to measure everything out before you begin, don't you find? Yes. So, where was I? Let's see. Oh yes, that's right. Wednesday last. Well, he bustled in through that door there, sweating and fretting and all kinds of anxious, bumbling excitedly about his rather intriguing morning. Well, this piqued my interest, no doubt. The night before, he'd left all the windows open. Mrs. Trishingham had mentioned in passing being a touch warm, and there he was, opening every sash in the entire estate. Can you imagine? What a dear, sweet man. So, next morning he went down to prepare the breakfast, and he heard something rather odd coming from the back pantry. Being a rather skittish one himself, he was a bit scared, so he swung open the back pantry door to reveal a wee gnome just sat there, covered head to toe in pickleberry preserve. I do not tell a lie. So, rather than shoo the gnome away and have to tell Mrs. Trishingham, he's kept the gnome in the back pantry ever since, just locked away. It's practically letting out his back larder. Now he comes in to buy double pies and cakes to refill the pantry, restock rations for his new guest. I daren't tell a lie, but there it is. Well, this is looking quite good, I must say. But we need to season it a bit. So let's begin. Let's add a pinch of this fennel here. Lovely. So I'll just make a note that this has been opened and used. But you know, now that I think on it, there have been all sorts of strange things happening these days. Do you know Lady Lavinia? Well, again, I'm no gossip, but I do have quite a funny story about Lady Lavinia. Lady Lavinia and her lily pad cap. You've got time, haven't you? You could hear just one more. Right. Here we are then. Lady Lavinia and her lily pad cap. Well, I'm sure you must have heard of Lady Lavinia. She lives down by Loxby Lane. In any case, very stylish. Always sporting the latest fashions. And, you know, rarely comes into Northbriar. The only time she ever comes is for the Blue Moon Ball. So that should tell you something. Once in a very, very blue moon. In any case, recently she was seen about town, looking gorgeous and very put together, and she went over to Madame Montiste's for her, annual fitting. She likes to do everything all at once. Well, she made sure to go there right after she received her invitation for the Blue Moon Ball, because she wanted a special gown made for the ball. And we all have our gowns made by Madame Modiste. However, this one in particular was important because she wanted something that would just shine and sparkle under those beautiful stars. So, as you can imagine, it was to be a very special gown, special in more ways than one, if you catch my meaning. So, she had to go early enough, book an appointment, and make sure that she gave enough time for Madame Modiste and all of her little helpers to finish off the gown. But while she was there, of course, as she always does, she had to make sure that she was well equipped. She, rarely comes to town, so it makes sense that she would want to make sure she has all of her new accoutrements. So, in any case, I'm just going to peel this garlic. I think a bit of garlic this time would be nice. Then I'll add a little bit of rosemary. I have some fresh rosemary, but I do have my grinder, so I can just grind that up. I think that'll be nicer than just biting into a loaf of the bread and just having some of the rosemary crunching. But you know what I could do? I could add some of the whole pieces of rosemary inside the dough and then take it out before I bake it. And no, I'll just leave it in. Here's what I'll do. I'll put a few different sprigs of rosemary inside. Then I'll put some of the ground rosemary on the outside to do the herb crusted top. There. Yes, I think that'll be quite nice indeed. So, why don't I add these here now? Do you like garlic? Good. I think it's a beastly thing not to like garlic. Especially when it's fresh. Nice, fresh garlic. Direct from the garden. That's the real benefit of having a bakery like this that's also got a lovely cottage garden in the back. We just pop out there before we start our mornings and we just collect anything that we need. Of course, that means that we have to take fairly in-depth inventory, but you know, these things aren't that bad if you have nice company. How's your tea? Oh, lovely. I'm so glad to hear it. Oh, I think the rose hips are divine. So let's see here. Alright, just open one of these. Lovely. I like to break it up a bit. There. Now we'll just do a bit of there. All right. It smells delightful already, doesn't it? All right. Let's see. So anyway, I can't remember where I was in my story. Let's see. Oh, right. So, Lady Lavinia is in there with Madame Moody's for hours, absolutely hours on end. And you know, she's known for her rather extravagant way of dressing. So we were all expecting some grand spectacle when she came out. Well, she did come out, like I said, several hours later. And she had on, I tell you, the most spectacular, exquisite gown I've ever seen, and it wasn't even her gown for the Blue Moon Ball. This was just a sort of everyday gown for her. One of those, you know, very fancy, I don't gossip, but you know the type. Very fancy, spends a pretty penny gelding on all of those latest fashions, you know. Anyway, still needs a bit more time, a bit more stirring. I don't like kneading bread, you know. Gets my fingers all dirty. Not a fan, especially because we have the ball coming up. Don't want to have any brandy braid bread underneath my fingernails. So she comes out head to toe, practically sparkling. Beautiful shoes, gorgeous gown, lovely silhouette, and atop her crown, instead of her beautiful bonnet, is a little lily pad cap. That's right. Nobody really knew what to make of it. To tell the truth, a few of our less intelligent townfolk started wearing different foliage on top of their crown, thinking that it was the newest statement. Well, you can't really blame them. She is a stylish one, and I suppose you could say that she made it work for her. However, turns out after a few of us went to visit Madame Modiste, that it was nothing of the sort. When the madam said goodbye and received her payment, Lady Lavinia was wearing a beautiful bonnet, specifically crafted for her. And the moment she stepped out of the door, it transformed into a lily pad cap. Do you know, Lady Lavinia didn't even notice it until a little frog leapt down onto her stomach. I don't tell a lie. We still have no idea what's happened. The only clue is that Lady Lavinia did notice on her sort of upper peripherals that there was a rather curious blue sparkling just as she left the door of Madame Modiste's. Perhaps that's a clue into this mystery. We need a bit more time. Let me see. I shall actually add... Oh, we need the brandy, of course. Silly me. Alright, let's see. Here we go. Let me now take... There. Perfect. Oh, a little goes a very long way with that brandy. Here we are. Do you know there's been a strange amount of things that have gone missing? I remember Sir Kirchall. Do you know Sir Kirchall? No, probably not. Well, his cane went missing. And it's his fanciest cane as well. Surely something he was going to sport or don at the Blue Moon Ball. But he now has a surplus of pocket watches. So curious. Linley Kincadia said she's been missing her favourite pair of shoes for a fortnight now. Do you know, it all started when the invitations arrived for the Blue Moon Ball, so I do believe it's got something to do with that. But you never know. Do you know, a newcomer arrived the other day. This is the freshest sort of stories on the street that I've heard. And apparently the gildings that were supposed to be left at the keep box, you know, outside Silk and Sadie's salon, the little box. I know you're new here, but most know about it. It's hard to sort of miss it. Well, the gildings that were left there, or supposed to be left there, vanished. Vanished and were never put there. That's my take on the story. You can never really trust newcomers, if you know what I mean. No offence to you, I'm sure you're lovely, but it's just difficult to sort of tell with these sorts of things. But I do believe there is strange work afoot. It's hard not to believe it, isn't it? Alright, I think it's time for me to add some of that rosemary. Don't you think that'll be nice inside of here? Wonderful. So, why don't get some of that now? Okay. Where did I put it? Oh. You know, rosemary, it's supposed to help bring back memories. Very nostalgic. I do love a good sprig of rosemary. They say if you sleep with rosemary under your pillow, that you'll have lucid dreams that can help you sort of work out your problems in day-to-day life. I like things like that. Little witchy tales. Alright, here we go. Now, let me just take a sprig. Is that going to be enough? What do you think? That should be enough, don't you think? Here's my newest gadget. I like all of the most recent, the latest kind of fashions when it comes to baking. So I will spend a pretty gelding on all of these. So we just pop it in the bottom here. I think we'll actually need 2 of these, if I'm honest. Maybe 1. Let's do 2 just to be safe. Alright. And pop this in. Lovely. Alright. Now, all I need to do is just grind these up. And I'll put them in this little jar there. Alright. So, now you know I'm no gossip, but feast your ears upon this. The Blue Moon King sends out invitations to every resident in Northbriar and the surroundings for the enchanting spectacle that is the Blue Moon Ball. It is truly not to be missed. I'm so glad that you've come into town for it. Upon arriving, you receive a flute of cobalt cordial. Everything is done so well, meticulously. And for the length of the eve, you are granted access through the stratus strait that leads all the way up through the darkened skies to the blue moon. Can you imagine? absolute favourite times of the year. It's such a dream. That's where the ball takes place, you see. There are celestial sporting matches spanning the cosmos, lightning charred hors d'oeuvres. The best of all is that we dance among the stars, carried off on fluffy clouds. Oh, you'll love it. But every year on the day that we receive our invitations, things begin to go amiss. We've never heard what it's all about, but I have a sneaky suspicion it has something to do with a sinister or very silly satyr. Hello, welcome to Tellymag's Bakery. Give me just one moment. So, I've got to assist them now. Would you like a cup of tea whilst I speak to them? I can heat it up for you. Lovely. Goodness me. Did you see that? Did you? That was so peculiar. It's where I could have put it. Well, I'm terribly sorry. Just have to finish that. But not to worry. I shall pop this straight into our agar as soon as we're done here. That was so strange, wasn't it? I just don't quite understand. No matter. All right. So, what can I get for you? Lovely. So, as I was telling this lovely guest, we have some brandy braid bread, which should be up in just a moment. It's herb crusted, divine. What do you say to that? Lovely. So you're both waiting for the same thing. I'll finish up here. Yes, unfortunately, won't be able to offer you any tea. I do have a spot of brandy though, if I can tempt you. No. Fair enough, it is quite early. All right, so let me finish up this, and this should be almost ready to go. Now, will this be enough? Let's see. Yes, that should be enough. Lovely. So, like I said, I'll place some inside of the bread itself. And then we'll have just a bit on top. But you know me, we use our lovely magic when baking. Everything will happen very quickly, not to worry, my dears. And nearly done here. Oh, doesn't that smell divine? All right. Are you going to attend the Blue Moon Ball as well? Oh, yes. Well, it's a lovely time. But, you know, I'm no gossip, but I have heard several different stories about all the craziness that's happening around the Blue Moon Ball. Do you know, Mr. Chishingham, he came in here earlier, right as you were entering, actually. Have I told you this story? I think I have. But anyway, Mr. Chishingham, you know, loves Mrs. Chishingham. Obviously, the sweetest of couples. Always together, always loving each other, always a big to-do when they're together. Anyway, Mr. Welcome to my Patreon. I love that sound. 35, 36, 37, and the rain poured down in torrents. It was really dreadful. Do you like that sound? I love that sound. The kind of crackling, crinkling. The cyberpunk videos are basically just things that I have in the garage. Old wires and things that are just lying around. Okay. So here is our cake. It didn't turn out exactly as I was hoping. This one is back in Tallymag's bakery, and it's our first time meeting Mag. So she's a bit of a gossip. I just feel really happy to connect with you. So thank you. Thank you for your support. It means a lot.